As expected, Tim.
Yes.
Donaldson is what people want to talk about. And the Jays moved Donaldson Friday night to Cleveland for a player to be named later.
Right.
Toronto also traded Curtis Granderson to Milwaukee, but who cares? Back to Donaldson. Many were excited to see him back on Canadian soil Thursday when the Jays actually host Cleveland for 4 games, as fate would have it. But Donaldson will not make the trip.
Right.
He's placed on the 10-day DL today. No Toronto trip for him.
No Toronto trip for him.
During Jays GM Ross Atkins' conference call on Saturday, he said the Jays and Donaldson had extensive talks about an extension last winter. However, Donaldson claimed yesterday in a conversation with Shai Davidi and John Lott that, quote, there weren't really contract negotiations being had, end quote, not the least that he knew. So the divorce is finally here, Tim. We talked about this for a long time.
Yes.
It happened Friday night, like we all knew it would. A former MVP dealt reportedly, with all due respect to the person coming back, basically nothing. Ross Atkins will join us at the top of the hour. We'll try to get to the bottom of a lot of the unanswered questions. There are a few. Let's start with this, Tim. How confident are you, because I know some of the people have strong opinions on this, how confident are you in this Jays management going forward?
I think with hindsight, of course, being 2020, and that is the basis of the show, I think they did decent with what they were handed. And that's the huge caveat, right? With what they were handed. I mean, if you're going to sit here and ask us maybe to place blame to figure out what happened here, that'll take a little bit longer, and we're going to go in it. But if you're asking me confidence in Shapiro and confidence in Atkins, who's going to join us a little later on in the show, I saw the cards they were dealt. And when Daniel Murphy went from the team that we were just watching, Washington Nationals, for what was a low-level prospect.
They got him for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew that whatever Josh Donaldson coming back, however he came back from that injury, because I'm not sure how he came back. He just showed up on a Blue Jays field and had an Instagram of him rounding bases, kind of sort of gingerly. They knew they had to get him healthy. Josh Donaldson knew he had to get healthy. Otherwise, he was going to get very little on the open market in the upcoming year. I think when you lay down all of the different permutations of how this would break down, I still have a good amount of confidence in this management moving forward, but I understand why there are people on the other side. And why there are people on the other side is simply because they watched an MVP go for nothing.
Yeah, that stings.
Like, that's the bottom line here.
Because if we're talking about, again, confidence in management, and we're sticking there for a moment, I like some of the things they've done with prospects. I like some of the things. Look, Teoscar Hernandez lately hasn't looked great, but at the time of the deal, seemed like it could be something. Billy McKinney seems like it could be something. They're not rushing the kids. They're not rushing Vladdy. They're not starting the clock on very important prospects when PR-wise it would be the right thing to do. Excitement-wise, it would be the right thing to do. They're not doing it. From that aspect, I agree. Trading Osuna was the right thing to do. I firmly believe that.
So you had, in the end, what was 3 near-generational pieces to a playoff puzzle. Batista walks for nothing. Edwin Encarnacion walks for a compensatory pick. And Josh Donaldson walks for a player to be named later. And I understand why people would be pissed when they look at those 3 pieces and understand that Jays management got absolutely nothing back. And we'll ask Ross Atkins about it. But when you lay it down, there are also other factors. Remember #PayTheMan? There were a lot of people who thought you should have paid Jose Batista. That would have been a terrible, terrible mistake. Correct?
Yes. Absolutely.
Edwin Encarnacion was offered the same amount of money that he ended up signing for in Cleveland. He thought he was going to get more on the open market, did not get any more on the open market, and the Jays had moved on. Should they have waited? Maybe. Should Encarnacion's agent have realized what the market was going to look like a little better? Yes. All these things have answers to them, and the Donaldson answer was, well, if only he stayed healthy. And if only Aaron Sanchez stayed healthy. And if only Marcus Stroman had stayed healthy. Like, this entire year couldn't have gone worse for Josh Donaldson and the Toronto Blue Jays. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're bang on. But I think the other thing that can't stay healthy is the high performance department. Like, I think some real questions need to be asked here. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. The thinly veiled, I don't trust what they were doing from Donaldson to the Jays, that was really interesting to me in all this. And I understand why Josh cares so much. It's his career. It's his life. This is his biggest professional career.
But do you think, here's the one problem that I have when you say that. One, no one plans for injuries.
I'm not saying they do.
And most of the time, it's a fluke. But when a guy says on the final day of last season, and I'm just quoting a story here, Donaldson said he would rely on his own conditioning team instead of the Blue Jays staff during the off season. Then comes in, can't throw a ball from third to first, and has a similar calf issue, albeit in a different calf than the one he had the year before. Who's to blame here? Like, sure, I'll let you sit here and point the finger at the high performance department. It's obvious that Josh Donaldson, who when asked about the Blue Jays high performance department, took about 10 seconds before he answered the question.
That's like a good hesitation.
With John Lott and Shai Davidi, and then chose his words carefully. Like, you can't not follow their program and then point the finger at them. Can you?
Well, I mean, but Donaldson's beef was that he hurt his calf 2 spring trainings ago in an exercise he claimed he shouldn't have been doing.
Was that high performance related?
That was the team. That was high performance.
That was the first time 2 summers ago.
2 spring trainings.
2 spring trainings ago, right.
So that's why he entered this year singing that tune. I'm going to do things my way. Now, obviously, that didn't work out for him either.
Nope.
I'm not going to defend that either. But this goes back now a few years. This is not a new issue with Josh Donaldson and the high performance department. And I just don't think we hear enough people bringing this up, because in every interview when they got hired, you heard this initiative, and it meant a lot to them, and it wasn't going to be cheap. What has it done for them? I'm being serious. What has it done for them? I miss George Poulos. There, I said it. Where's George Poulos when you need him? Anywho, Josh Donaldson is gone, and now I don't know what we're going to talk about with this team for the next month.